Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to this Super Sunday. Why is it super? Well, let's face the double bill of the weekend warriors already visited Okayama once today. Things only been done with right about an hour ago in the Formula Fort, and well, it was an enthralling battle all over 12th place. That's what caught the eye of the drama and the excitement. A great recovery drive from Thomas Renders as well, but now it's time for the big grid, the big action, the big drama as the Ford Spec Racers, SRFs to give them by their name, roll into town. The SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice here on Apex Racing TV. Live from Okayama, I am Tim Cox, who got loose right in the virtual production trailer. As always, I'm joined by the soothing tones of Charles Michel. Charles, small grid this week, just the 51 to deal with.
Yeah, it's a tiny grid this week, and a track that's it won't be as challenging as we would see normally for 51 cars. This track is fairly healthy size, and 2 or 3 wide should be no problem because that's what they're going to do anyway. So it's going to be a fun race to watch.
I remember coming here 2 seasons ago, I want to say, and seeing many pretty wide down into the hairpin turn. And today, I know, and if you've watched the series before, you know, we all know, it will be no different. If you haven't, welcome along to the show. And well, where have you been? You've missed out on so much great action. And as always, this pound for pound, this series never fails to deliver. Let's take a look at Spec 1, the highest of the 3 championships. Felix Samaus leads the way on 364 points, 50 points clear of Marco Panero at this stage of the season. A number in the middle denoting how many races they've taken part so far in this season. Dudu Castro third. He's really improved this season. Great to see him. David Gaspers don't have him tonight. He lies fourth, so he will not increase his 278 points. We've got Dantes Plever and Darlo Gustavo Ariel, who, well, so far, when we've had him in the race, he's won every single round. Can he do well? He's not with us tonight, but it'll be interesting to see how that continues. Thomas Renders, he is equal to Ariel on 212, and then it's Daniel Wood, the Mexican, running out your top 10. Let's have a look across into Spec 2, and wow, that's Alan McCain. Could this be McCain's season? He is dominating, 230 points. That's some stunning results so far. Gibson trailing him a lowly 164 points in comparison to McCain's meteoric 230, but it's tight for that second place with Only 8 points behind is Paul Jackson, who has only 2 points behind him. Gary Walbot, Trenton Kramer, don't discredit him or exclude him. He's on 122. Then we've got Berry, Montgomery, Clopper, Justice, and Knutson to round out your top 10. Across into Masters, well, it's always used to be Chris Murakami class. Then it's sort of become Yogmani, but Kurt Nunes has really taken the fight to Yogmani since the Swiss driver came of age. It's Nunes that leads the way at 236 with some 12 points behind him is Yogmani. Tony Rosa, so they don't have him experiencing disconnects after battling for third place, well, the top position. He was lining third in the earlier Formula Ford race, and sadly I don't think we have him with us right now, so he won't be increasing for his 201 points. Murakami is 4, who will probably leapfrog race for a disaster here today. Gradwell, Smith, we've got Bradshaw, Brewster, Kern, Mitchell, and Charles Vicalo to round out your top 10 in Masters. Qualifying, well, as always, is well underway. Just coming to 13 minutes complete out of the 20. It's Marco Pinero who leads the way. However, what a lap for Vaisuzel in third. Oh, I mean, he's displayed great pace, hasn't he, Charles?
He
As
really
the Chechi
has.
driver. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
he
even
really-
so, that's an epic lap, that is.
I think this is his first season that I can remember him being in here, and I did last season. I don't remember calling a race with him in it. So maybe he's starting to really get used to this car, and he's kind of coming into it a little bit, and his pace has increased seemingly every week. So he may be looking to challenge for that top spot for the Spec 2 class.
And, well, he's been loitering, I say, around the sort of 12th to 19th sort of area for the last few weeks. But then all of a sudden, and we have it every season, there's just this amazing result from one of the Spec 2 drivers that just puts the true cat amongst the pigeons. So it can be interesting to see if he can hold on to that for the rest of the qualifying. As for Masters, well, that's Kurt Nunes, our championship leader. He's the highest of their qualifiers, and he is currently in 12th. However, Chris Murakami only 2 places behind him. But Yogmani, interestingly, struggling a bit here after an amazing qualifying in the Formula Ford series earlier. He's 4th in class, 22nd overall. Well, okay, forget that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make a liar out of you as soon as you get it out of your mouth. It's how it works. So,
well, there you go. Scrap that. Everything I've just said about Yogmani. It's 1st in class, 7th overall. Now that's what we love to see. Great qualifying from Fabio Scali, the Italian, up in 8th place, 2nd in class. I'm just wondering, I say it's an inverted commas small track, this 2.3 miles, so it's not necessarily the biggest, but it can be challenging when you've got 30 cars out there to try and find space, can't it, Charles, to get a decent quali lap in. When you've got 50, that's a whole new ball game.
yeah, it really is. You really have to pay attention to the rest of the cars on track. There's usually, even in a short track like this, there's usually a spot that you can kind of find your way in that's got some clean air. But there's we've seen it with smaller tracks how they were struggling, and we've seen with bigger tracks sometimes they just kind of step over each other. So, but they usually do a pretty good job, and there'll always be one or two that seems like they're out of place. But so far, I think it looks like it's pretty clean though. So I haven't really seen a lot of people just getting in each other's way.
You say that. I was listening into the voice comms, and I heard Dudu Castro complaining and Yang Ji Lin telling him to calm down a little bit. They're currently 8th. Lin's 8th. Castro 10th. They're struggling to find a bit of a gap in traffic, and just bring up the track map for us. And you see, just display just how congested it is out there. You see, there's quite a few cars in the pits, but even so, I mean, there's not a lot of room out there right now. Lin has managed to find some space. It'll be interesting to see how the Chinese driver gets on, whether he can improve. There is Castro, and you can see why. He was maybe complaining a little bit about tripping up over people and just struggling to find space. That's just, if that displays what it's like out there. I mean, it's a tricky one as well, isn't it, Charles? Because it's the perennial, do you follow someone? That's great. Down the back straight, down the front straight. You're going to gain loads of time. But especially if you're quicker than the car in front of you through the corners and the twisty bits, certainly coming into that second half of the corner when you get past the hairpin, you're going to lose all that time you just gained.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, you have to be able to, it's almost you want to be able to clear the car at the end of the straight. So if you can clear a car at the end of the straight, especially going into the hairpin on the back side of the track, because that next little technical bit, you really need clean track so you can run the cars out of the corners. And yes, if you end up getting behind somebody that's a little bit slower than you, you just lose all the time that you've gained trying to trail behind them.
See, Thomas Renders, he's up into 5th. Now, that's where he qualified early in the Formula 4, Charles. However, he didn't make the grid. Decided not to click join and started from the pits. Having said that, recovered out of a 28-car field all the way back up to 10th. Again, same resistance as we're covering here tonight, 14 minutes. But let's hope he joins the grid this time. Otherwise, that could be a bit of a disappointment for the Dutch driver yet again, twice in one night. Hopefully lightning does not strike twice. Simon Mayer ran well earlier. He managed a 4th place overall in the end. Nearly got to the podium. Wasn't far off a Spirit, so going to do the same again. That'll be interesting to see. As I'm hearing more of a few drivers complaining about lack of space out on track, and I think that's going to be a bit of a recurring theme for the next 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, you can see a couple of cars on the side just kind of just out of the way, trying to find a spot, just anywhere they can find a place to just kind of move in and get a couple of 3 seconds between them and another car, so they can kind of get a lap together.
I tell you what, one track I would love to see these cars go around, and I don't think in the many seasons I've commentated in this series we've ever been there. Brands Hatch.
I did look at if this is following the normal iRacing schedule, which I believe it is. We will see Brands Hatch Indy at the end of the season. So I think week 11.
Indy.
Yes.
Wow.
Not to foreshadow too much, but next week is Long Beach.
I mean, yes, I remember seeing Long Beach on the calendar and thinking, oh, that's going to be interesting. I think completion bet's now on whether I have the track blocked on that one, but the Indy circuit, I mean, there's the drivers complaining about no room today on a 2.3 mile circuit. The Indy Brands Hatch, that'll be a whole new ball game. You may as well just go along with one long snake.
Yeah, I love whoever's the schedule maker for iRacing. Has a great sense of humor because they put the Nürburgring and Brands Hatch Indy back-to-back weeks, which I think is hilarious.
Wow. You couldn't really get to maybe Tsukuba. Actually, I don't know. I think actually the Indy layout Brands Hatch is actually shorter than Tsukuba. Checker flag is out, but like I said, you could not get 2 more contrasting tracks. Wow. Avoided there. I think that's Ed Dirty just having a bit of a spin, and well, that's killed off Chris McCormick's lap, so he's going to have to sell for 60 at least, unless someone pips him to that. And there's still plenty of time. Flavio Darlo there, looks like improving lap. He's been going quicker. Last time around was his fastest lap, 141.37, only 200s quicker than Favini behind him. That's how close it is, and he's only some 800s slower than Pellegrini, who's ahead of him, his fellow countryman, in 17th. So, as always, slim margins. I mean, just over a 10th covering our top 2. But look at that from, I'm going to say, from Lynn in 9th all the way down to Nunez in 14th. Not even a 10th. 800ths by my calculations, just over.
I think that's right. Yeah, 1 second covering the top 25.
And that tells you everything you need to know about the SRF Weekend Warriors, isn't it?
That's it.
And Renders is going through to complete his lap. Can he improve the Dutchman? Currently lying in 5th, 3rd row of the grid. He'll be sharing with Heitel Louise. If he does not improve, let's find out as he's going to cut the time in long run here down to the start-finish line. And does he go faster? No, he goes slower by 1.3 seconds. At his personal best, this Max Clopert just has a bit of a moment there, and well, he's done dust in qualifying anyway, so it did not matter as we run well into overtime here. But I think that's pretty much everyone across the line, and we are done and dusted here from Okayama. We'll just wait for the session now to transition across into the race, and then we have to bring you up a grid here, and thank you to... Here we go. Well, there's still a couple left on track, so we have to wait for those to sort themselves out, and then we can move across. And there we go, someone just coming around the hairpin, and maybe another one a bit further around down the back straight. There's only 20 seconds left of that. In fact, I mentioned to the two sponsors for this league, of course, RaceVoice, if you want to go faster with voice notifications alerts for shift up, shift down, over rev, corner entry and exit speeds. You can go faster with the speed of voice. Make sure you check out racevoice.com to find out more about them. Of course, Apex Racing Academy with daily packs, setups, track guides, and much more for road and oval racing, as well as group coaching sessions and one-on-one coaching sessions. You can go faster on track with them. Make sure you check out Apex Racing Academy. But here's your grid. Let's try. I'm not sure where they're going to line up. If they're lining up on the, well, yes, they are on the the penultimate straight, the short one. Before Redmond. Let's get through these quickly and stop waffling. Marco Panero, Felix and Miles are your front row. That's Ferenc Arabian on the top. Qualifier respect to Vaishlusil on the second row. Thomas Renders has headed to Luis Company. Les Plever has took qualifier in Masters, Yogmani. And then Lynn and Dudu Castro round out your top 10. Flavio Andalo and Fabio Scali are row 6. Row 7 is Dan Tassel Green. 8 is Nunez and Gori. 9 is Murakami and Pellegrini. Row 10. Row top 20 is Andrea Favini and Simon Mayer. Row 11, Bradshaw and Smith. 12 is Galloway and Simpkins, with 13 being Pinero and Clopert. 14 is Jacobson and McCain. 15 and top 30 is Accentive and Wood. Row 16 is Love and Gould. Brewster and Conti of row 17. Row 18 is Montgomery and Gradwell. Row 19, Gibson and Carvalho. Row 19... Yeah, I'm losing notes. Row 20, in fact, is Wubka and Jackson. Camillo and Berry, row 21 with Dirty and Mitchell on 22. 23 is Bob Kern and Gary Walbolt. Jeff Cantor has just Justice for company. And then row 25, we're still not done, is Mark Sherman and Marcel Faglini. And Andreas Bertoni did not set a time in qualifying. He never does. And he just comes through the field. Where will he finish in the number 11? Keep half an eye out for him, starting all the way down in 51st. 51st. And just in time for the lights. Yeah.
I like that. That was great timing. Yeah, so the over-under on Bertoni, probably 25.
Is that what you're placing in as your sweepstake?
Yeah, I think so.
25. I mean, we saw a bit of a collision into Williams, turn 2, in the Ford race earlier today, which created a bit of a gap, and we lost about 4 drivers as well because of it to the pits. They did come back out again largely, though. If we see that again, he could make up 20 on the first lap. However, you never quite know but then if you get caught up in it, and especially that having a big gap in the middle of the field, you never quite know. I'm going to go for 17 tonight.
Okay.
Sure. Let's find out, though.
Sure.
So they round the last corner, very aptly named last corner. Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing from Okayama in the SRF Weekend Warriors, as we are green and we are away. And Marco Panero does not hang around and already pulls out a 6/10 gap over Arabian. And everyone just in the background, they're just making it through these initial stages. Tenterhooks, but look at them all side by side as they're streaming through Williams right now. And it's hard to know where to look as everyone all around about. And I tell you what, Charles, I'm amazed we've got away cleanly.
Yeah, I mean we did start with the iconic 3 wide down the front straight to start the race off, but it seems like everybody's kind of settled in, and they're still a little jockeying for position. But so far so good. Haven't seen anything just major happening so far, so we're off to a good start.
We are indeed, and I can tell you that, Max Klopert's on a great start. He's at 6 places, Dirty's up 7 already. Guys, we haven't even completed half a lap yet. That's crazy stuff, although Tim Klopert just, Favini's just getting past on Mayer and Klopert there, but up Mayer. well, it's our top breakaway group. I say breakaway group, but everyone within half a second of one another from second all the way down to 14th. It's one long train here at Okayama. Everyone just biding their time a little bit. As I say that, just ahead of it, I think that's Mike Galloway on a bit of a... No, sorry, it's Christopher Smith, sorry, on the attack there. And Vardy seems to be trying to get the move done. This is going to be tight as we head through Mike Knight down. Oh, there's contact there. Smith comes off okay, but it's Max Glober after that great start from him. He falls down through the order. Well, you see him in the background, they're just getting going. But, I mean, when it's this big, long line like we see right now, what a sight to behold. You're just back down to, you're right down to the back, and, well, he's all the way down into 49th now. But let's take a little look at how it all unfolded. And did he touch the grass on the outside, which sent him into Smith? Yes. The dreaded iRacing grass of death strikes again, Charles.
Yeah, it happens a lot with the grass and iRacing. Just there's no grip in it, and so as soon as one wheel makes contact, you're just in for a wall to hurt most of the time.
I mean, having said that as well, yeah, to see, of course, in the insert race from Sebring this year. The LMDH has just completely slid across the grass iRacing style. So you do have to question, actually, just how true to life it really is. That two wides at plenty down into the hairpin. And getting moves done there was, I think that was, well, Woodcock just, well, he should be even more optimistic here through Roll Volva and through Piper. Getting the move done there on Camillo. So I think it was also Ian Gibson just ahead of him getting a move done too. As well. Nice position climber so far. I think there's been an instant ahead. Yes, there is a 3-1-3 caught up in that one. Montgomery, after his great start, disappointing for him, and also Andrew Love caught up in two. I mean, they two had a great battle earlier on in the Formula 4 and didn't come to blows, but come to blows in the early stages here today in the SRF. And, well, is this going to be a bit of a scent, Charles?
Oh, yes, that was definitely... Oh, well, so somebody sent it, but I think the 313 reacted to the car that was sending it on the inside. I couldn't catch the number, but I think he just kind of checked up, and Love Behind did not. But I think it was definitely caused by it was definitely a reaction to the car diving up the inside.
Well, good news, Charles. Andreas Bertoni is about not far off about making a fall off me. He's at 15 so far. I think I said 17, and you said 28, didn't you? So I think he might win the sweet
I think 25. We'll see. We'll see. There's still plenty of racing left to do.
There is
35 minutes.
Yeah, but we're only a tenth of the way through the race. I say that it's only 4 minutes in, and well, there you go. That's going to be another move for him. That's Philip Berry, the Australian, being dispatched off there by the Uruguayan, who's carried a bit of damage to that front right corner, if my eyes don't deceive me, Charles.
I see that damage also. Kind of interesting how he got that, but doesn't seem like it's hurting his pace very much. He seems like he's able to work his way up to the field quite well so far.
A great job from the Uruguayan. Always a bit of the, well, interested in how far he'll climb through the order as he always starts from the back. Meanwhile, a bit further up through the grid, well, there's still, wow, Vaishisu's just starting to drop off right now. That great pace in qualifying has not translated to race pace, so they still leads his class by, well, a country mile, because Fabio Scali is second in class. He's all the way down in 15th place right now. It's the 24 machine. And that's, I mean, 11 places, that's some time to play with. However, just forming this chasing peloton pack is Vaishluzel. Does have a less believer. Behind him is teammate at Core Team. Our top three starting to break away now. Pranero, Arabian, and Felix Samals streaming away. As we mentioned, 1.7 seconds, so they're taking quite a bit of time. And I mean, surprised as well that not been able to get through the pack of being Lynn. Lynn has dropped off a little bit off the pace in recent seasons. Certainly, Yorkmani and Dina Castro have been strong as well. I think Les Blever's gone for the overtake behind, but you can hear, imagine that gap. Bit of fuel saving maybe going on from Felix Smells as well into the braking zones.
I think you're right. And I'm wondering, as we talked with Gaspers last week, I'm wondering how much fuel saving even the leader is doing in a race like this at the start, because it seems like this the guys that are up front are conscious of the fuel basically from the start of the race. They know what they got to do and what number they're trying to hit because they just want to make that pit stop as short as they can.
I'm on with Didu Castro right now, currently lying in 10th place is the Brazilian. Frustrating in qualifying, he's got Yokmani ahead of him, leader in Masters, 9th overall. I like the battle in Spec 2. His closest competitor is Kurt Nunes, he's currently 12th, so only, what, 3 cars behind Yokmani right now, and 2 behind Didu Castro, who we ride on board with, and I see maybe feeling like they should be up at the top, fighting with, and well, heading off into the distance with Panera, Arabian Mouse. Maybe Vaisuso just feeling, you know, that switch around between himself and the Les Believer. Being teammates, Believer maybe feeling like he can drive faster. And I tell you what, it's working, Charles, because the gap had extended out to about 1.8 seconds. And now hauling the minutes, they've taken 2 attempts on, well, the last 2/3 of a lap, I would say. And start, you know, Believer's bringing Vaisuso along with him for the ride. Thomas Render's coming in too. And I think Lynn's got past Luis. You can see that gap opening up, and he's not wanting to hang around. And Castro tucking into that same side with him as well. And Luis hung out strong on the outside. Could have a train of 3 cars streaming through as we're going 2 wide in the background as well. Castro backs out of it. Lynn's looking up the inside there. And can he get it done? I think he might have just about got it done as everyone making their way through their 5AO download back in the pack. Well, it's
a little off track there from Monty.
And one behind them as well. I think that was Pellegrini. No,
oh no!
No, contact.
Yeah, Monty and Castro.
Oh no! Oh, as everyone has to scatter left, right, centre to try and avoid them. And some cars making it through, some not so much. But that's really broken up the landscape of how everyone was battling. So what happened? Marnie was slow off the corner. Castro moves to driver's left. Has it? Oh, and they all just converged on the 45.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think Luis maybe went into the corner a little bit, maybe a little early than what Castro was expecting. He had to check up, and I think it pushed him out wide and into Monty, and spun both of them. And
I can tell you, Charles,
just more damage off of that with cars. You know, with still another 40 cars in the field that's got to try and get through that corner.
I tell you, they've jumped both to the pits, so that could look like they're in the evening sun and dusted. I do worry for Murakami as well. He hit Castro incredibly hard. No fault of his own, nowhere to go coming through, no time to react. So it's nothing bad on the American at all whatsoever. It's just witnessing. Oh, I think there's been. I can see lots of names swapping around. I could hear lots of tyres squealing, and in the background, I think something's happened down at Atwood, and there's a lot of cars all on top of each other in the background. It's Petoni. Wow, that's a bit of a cheeky move to swoop in there ahead of Accentive, and maybe could even gain another place as well. We're going to find out.
Oh wow. That's dirty. Oh wow. That was he was almost I would say on the edge of control going through there, and just with a massive sin on the inside. It just didn't work out for him, but I think it kind of shook a lot of cars up there as he still had cars behind coming through.
It was, I mean, it was pushing it, and well, it just goes to show just how much you can straight line it through that corner from dirty. But what does this mean is further down the field, they've all bunched up again as that I didn't quite catch. Pitting. Yes, that is Leandro Pinheiro, the Brazilian, into the pits. First driver to pit early on in the race, but can get home on the fuel with that. So he's up and out. Max Kloper is in after his fast start and then that spin, hurting him. You win, Charles. Petoni up 28. Closest to him in comparison is George Camillo, who's up. Do you know, Jeff Cantor, apologies, and Joshua Justice, both at 14 apiece. Come on, gents. Rookie numbers compared to Tony. Rookie numbers. Have a word with yourself. On a more serious note, though, that top 3 has now become a top 4 nearest damn it with Les Plevers caught up onto them. Renders made it past Schlusel, and they've dropped right back off the pace of Plever after initially looking like they were going to follow Les Plever through and to really catch up to that lead group. But it does make you wonder just how much they're fuel saving ahead and how, well, I assume, Charles, how much Les Plever is not fuel saving.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he wants to be up with that front group, and obviously, I think Renders and Schlusel also probably want to be there. I just think Schlusel just not quite the race pace of his teammate, but he's just trying to hang on using these big draft trains. As long as these cars, they're within a second and a half of Pleva in front, so as he gets up to the top 3, he'll slow down a bit and match their pace. And I think that this train, as we've seen over the course of the season, it kind of shrinks and grows during the course of the event.
Murakami Smith and came into the pit. Sorry, Charles, I thought you'd finish your point there, but it was your long soothing pause and calmness that brings to the booth. That's curious. Go on, finish your point, please.
No. That was as good a place to finish as anything. So.
I don't like cutting you off.
No, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? We don't step on each other that much, to be fair. So it's fine. It's fine.
It's only when one spotted something dramatic happening or like the other. I'd tell you what, Panera and Arabian are scrapping away over second place. They've swapped around and then back again. Suki's swapping around and back again. This is a lovely little battle happening over ninth place. Nunes now, of course, your leader in Masters.
That just, he's obviously leading the points. So obviously he's having a really good season so far. So it doesn't surprise me he's up near the front. I'm surprised Luis is still out there. He was involved, I guess, with the Castro and Monty, but doesn't look like he's had any damage to the car. No. So it looks like he's able to just keep circulating. I
think he was a bit of the perennial iRacing meme. The person that I say caused it. He didn't truly cause it. They were just so busy having their own battle behind. They nearly ran in the back of him and then had to take evasive action not to, and then killed each other in doing so. But I remember having it at doing the Indy 500. One guy just didn't get going off one of the restarts and caused a 15-car pilot behind him, which I was involved in. And he carried on, set up the road, and was completely fine, whereas everyone else behind him, we all had to retire.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's right now. Yeah, it seems to be how Louise is currently experiencing, but he wasn't, of course, it's in that dramatic sense like I experienced. I say, well, let's play that. That is some cracking pace from the Cheshire driver. It's been lapping. Last time around, actually, pretty much equaled these guys in front, but I think that's just because the core team driver has just caught up to the back, and sometimes like Bruno Conti's had a bit of an issue somewhere out on track. Actually, it's a little while ago, apologies, because it's when McCain entered the pits, and yes, so that's a little while ago now, apologies, and that's why he's fallen through the order down to 22nd. But turning up a casual 32 for you now, Charles. Extending your
doing obviously a great job.
However, keeping the 17 alive is Cantor and Justice. I say Justice, Andrew Love's just got past Justice, so Cantor's up to 17. He's having a great time out there. George Camilo, the Brazilian, in 25th. The 33 machine, he's up an incredible 16 as well. As Thomas Renders in from 5th, it was when he came in. So, where is he going to come out into the country? And realistically, well up, to stop early. I mean, he did it earlier on in the Formula Ford race, as I said, after falling right to the back and finished 10th out of a 28-car field. Now, based on those numbers gained, he'll be in roughly about -11 by the time he finishes that race. If that's sort of same sort of game. But looking for the undercut here again as he's up and running again, maybe spotting a bit of a gap. Yes, he has. He spotted a lovely little gap in traffic there to pull himself. Well, I say that I didn't see this great big swooping line of cars that come out in front of him.
No, he's going to be well. Maybe the experience of driving the Formula Fords has shown him that he can draft up to the back of these cars and make moves, and make passes and move his way up the field, still keep his pace, and maybe this undercut's going to play out for him.
Panera has lost a place to Samaus, interestingly. Also, Lynn has got past Weisslusel, so Weisslusel really struggling with these hot track temperatures. It's like that epic qualifying from the Spec 2 driver. Still he's Spec 2 though, Fabio Scully second place, and now he's 11th overall. Third is Bradford Gould. In class, he's made the Criminal 18, he's on an absolute flyer as Bradford, up to 14th place. Good on him. Great to see a great result for him, well overdue. I think for Bradford, the American driver, although it does have Adam Bradshaw making his life a little bit on the more uncomfortable side behind him, although Bradshaw even does need to be careful of Jacobson behind him, and well, that man who's a perennial hot knife through butter, that is Andrea Spitoni.
Yeah, they're just, it's and we're almost to the halfway point as we see Nunez there.
Now, I heard over the in-game comms, in sim comms, don't call it a game, Timothy, saying to, I think it was Luis and Dantas, come past me, struggling for pace, let's catch these guys in front, so clearly feeling the need to work with them, doesn't want to hold them up anymore. However, up in front, hello, here we go. Are we going to go 3 wide, down into the hairpin, or is that Panero? I'm going to guess he's pushing he's giving him a good old push, isn't he, to Samaus on the run. Maybe
it really is, yeah. It's down to the inside, 2 wide through the hairpin, nice and safe. Yeah, it kind of feels like something we saw last week, where they're just basically swapping the lead back and forth. They're getting the runs, and they said, okay, let me go ahead and make this run. It's almost like they're testing the waters, right? So you get a pretty nice run out of the last corner down to the start-finish line. So it's like, okay, if I'm in second, how close do I need to be to get that last run down at the end of the race if it comes to that? So maybe they're just doing a little in-race testing. We'll call it like that.
Arabian went from the lead down to third, so I think I'm missing the interesting part, but Plever is right up onto the back of the see, just caught in the corner of my eye there. Yang Lin really pushing the limits right now, desperate to try and catch up and make up some time on these guys. Last time around, he matched their pace. The lap before that, he ran about half a second quicker than them. So Lynn clearly is finding, I have got some pace. I have got a bit of a chance here to try and make up some ground on these guys. So some timing differences there. So 10th quicker, yes, last time around than Plever. And, well, lost half a second though. Actually, no, it's the opposite round. Gained half a second did Lynn over Plever on lap 10, but last time around, lead group were a 10th quicker. But this is not over and done with to the Fat Lady 6. We're approaching half race distances.
Yeah, I mean, Plever just had a little look to the inside, and Arabians, I don't think you're going to do it yet. So I think probably Plever is probably just content to just ride in fourth. That's what I was going to say earlier, but he looks like he's a bit racy. But he's probably just thinking, okay, I caught these guys. Let me save a little bit of fuel now, so at least I'm on even terms with him when we come to the pit stop.
As things stand at the moment, Plever will be on for his best result of the season if he can maintain this, and that's going to be interesting to see. And like I say, Charles, just maybe trying to get a bit of fuel saving into this, as definitely the sun has gone in. Yeah, it's cooled the track down a little bit. We dropped a couple of degrees Celsius off it, down to just 40. Just 40. It's still incredibly hot out there. Yeah. Still incredibly hot. 25 ambient here in Okayama. That's what? About 80, I think, Fahrenheit? 25 Celsius?
Yeah, so around in that area. So
yeah, mid-80s, I think.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we're both fully conversed in how to translate Celsius to Fahrenheit.
It's just too much for me right now.
No. You understand Imperial, I understand metric, and between the pair of us, we can't converge and communicate and convert. But
But 25 is around, I think, 78 to 82, somewhere in that neighborhood. So that's about right.
yeah, we weren't far off. We weren't far off, but Taylor isn't far off. Panero, he's really snorted past some miles there to get them. We've done well ahead of the braking point. And do you know, earlier on, when Arabian got overtaken through this sector of the circuit, a really high IQ move just tucked straight back in, not to lose any time from battling. And that's almost horrendous. Well, talking of battling, I mean, desperate came in very early, lap 9. Came out behind that train and desperate to try and make up some ground.
He's definitely working his way through that train, because that every one of those cars were in front of him, and so he is actually doing a pretty good job of working his way through all of the cars. As we see him with a little Jackson there.
Yeah, it's
a
past
little battle.
Woodcourt. Nice little move there from Jackson. Oh, Red Dirty's just had a bit of an incident somewhere. As Daniel Woods got past him.
So that was seven or eight cars in that group, and Renders is now in third in that pack. So
let's take a look at what happened. Oh, outbraked himself.
Yep.
Was there a fair bit of contact here? I mean, he's pushing hard. Oh,
couldn't tell if there was contact or not, but he was definitely on it, trying to stay in front. And I think he's just too much throttle coming out of that corner.
A little too much mustard on his hot dog there, I think.
I think that's right.
And I'm trying to think of the point. Yes, I'm back to it. We were talking earlier, obviously, about, you were saying about those gains that Thomas Renders has made. I know, you guys being a multi-class endurance racer yourself, Charles, it's all about those net gains, isn't it? And how you manage that traffic and get past them while going for a move like a big undercut like this. I've seen Bradshaw and Jacobson going to remain where they are. Jason covers up. But yeah, it's all about those net gains, isn't it? And yes, losing a bit of time to a car while you're passing them, but making sure you make up for it overall.
Exactly right. So yeah, you're always looking for the clean track, and if you're undercutting, you want to make sure that you either find a nice open spot where there's very little traffic, or at least, if nothing else, you're at least not battling with maybe lap down cars in your class, but you're more battling with the lower classes if you can, because you can generally line those up and make those passes fairly easily. You get into some lap traffic for your own class, and they're not always keen to let you go, especially when you're, trying to put another lap on them. That. So yeah, it's always important that you should be watching your track map. Say, okay, if I go in here, where am I going to come out, and what I'm going to have to do to make up make good time on the track.
Here we go. Up the inside goes Renders. Well, that's down into... Yes, that's down into turn one. I was starting to question myself whether that was the last corner then, but no, definitely wasn't. There was a great big gravel... Well, there was a gravel trap on the outside. That's what deceived me a little bit there. But yes, that's Renders now up into 20th. He's the highest driver of everyone that has pitted so far. So looking like the Dutchman on for a good result here. And, well, he's got a... Talking about that big clear track, Charles, 7.6 seconds the gap to Excentive ahead of him in 19th. So this is hammer time now for Renders, and really some quality style laps, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. He's got to just lay the hammer down and start making some pace while he's got that clean track.
Les Cleaver and. Front of the throttle there. Oh, Yangshi Lin is into the pit lane. Now, where is Lin going to come out? So he's gone for a bit more, less of an undercut, but still a bit of an undercut compared to our top group at this 25-minute mark out of 40. Louise in, Maya in 2. Now, Lin and Renders, I think, should come out well behind Lin based on where they were, but it's going to be fascinating to see where Lin comes out in relation to Hector Louise and Simon Mayer. That's the interesting one for me. So Lynn is heading out of his pit spots. There he is, off he's going. So he comes out into 17th. And Thomas Renders, on the other hand, has jumped Louise and Mayer. So clearly, despite that traffic, it's working for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He knew that he had some ability to make some passes on some of maybe the slower traffic, and he's done a really good job of making undercut work for him.
This is your battle for fifth. I mean, Pellegrini, he's had a great race. I mean, when you're near the front, you don't tend to gain too many places. But the Brazilian, he's at 13, started 18th, under to 5th. That's a cracking result. And Vicelosu is no slouch. We saw that in qualifying. That one-lap pace, absolutely electrifying for a Spec 2 driver. However, Pellegrini really taking the fight to him here and actually ahead. And Vicelosu not able to quite make it past very easily. So CR top 4, they keep going again. But yeah, that's a great result. Although Pellegrini is in.
Yep. Yeah, but I think I will give Vicelosu a lot of credit. He obviously doesn't like he's got the pace in the top 4, which probably shouldn't because those are Spec 1 cars. But he's done a really good job to stay up near the sharp end. I think he's had a pretty good race so far.
Yeah, and he's still on for his best finish in the SRF Weekend Warriors. Still yet to pit is every driver down until 12th, which is Adam Bradshaw. Minute 13th, Christian Brewster is yet to pit. Eva is Sergei Exinti. Eva yet to pit. Jackson, Stephen Mitchell, Bradwell, Dantas, and Carvalho into the pits. Hooker and yet to pit Eva, and neither is Mike Galloway, because Mike Galloway caught up in an early incident. That's why he's well down through the field. But top 4, they keep going. They're still maintaining. Do you know what? You called it early on, Charles, and I'm absolutely fascinated by it. It's Les Pleaver made up all that time to them, and it's just sat there.
Yep.
Saving to the max, and has that tactic worked? That spend a bit to save a lot in terms of your fuel. I mean, hasn't bothered attacking Arabian whatsoever.
No, really hasn't. And you wonder, I think he's fuel saving, but he also started a little bit further back to those guys. So maybe he's also thinking, I'm not sure I've really got the pace to really challenge these guys, but we're getting to the point now that they'll. If he thinks he's got anything for him, he'll absolutely be using it for the last 2 or 3 laps of the race.
Scarley's just dropped a couple of places there behind Nunez and Favini. That's why, because he's come into the pits.
Yep.
That's another one into the pit lane. As we see Lynn, of course, your top driver who is pitted. That is Brewster just ahead of him. Maybe he's holding up a little bit right now.
I mean, we're at the 29-minute mark. I don't think they can go many more laps with the fuel that they have. I think in the next 2, I think everybody's going to be in.
Longest I've ever seen in this series someone go without pitting was, I think it was the 37-minute mark, I think, from memory. I mean, that is ridiculously deep and a lot of fuel saving to take you there. And that was actually on the lead group as well. So it is possible to go very deep, but don't tend to see it that often. Brewster does definitely seem to be holding up Lynn. Right now, Renderson came out only about a second behind Lynn, has dropped back a bit. He's some 8 seconds down the road. That's a big old margin between those two right now. It's just seeing Brewster. Finally, Lynn makes his way past. Gets to move down into the hairpin. Job done. Brewster yet to pit. He's at 20, and he's smells.
Yep.
And yeah, name it now. Pleaver, interestingly, did not follow, and is now in a bit of fresh air. I don't know, Charles. Should he have followed them in, or is it hammer time, close up to Panero?
I was going to say, I think it may be hammer time, close up to Panero, and then save if he can for another half lap or so. But he's got to get there first, obviously. So yeah, it's going to be one of those that how deep are they going to be able to go? How much fuel has he managed to save, kind of riding in that fourth position? And how long does he really want to stay out before he comes in? Because I think those guys, they're coming out, as you can see, they're coming out clean track.
Well, look who's just crept up on behind them. That's Yangshi Lin. He was well down on these guys. I know he's only a second behind Arabian. Although Samals has got a big jump on Arabian. He made up about 3 seconds during the pit stop phase over the American there. So that's a cracking bit of strategy there from Felix Samals. Definitely been able to save a bit more, though. He's tucked up right behind Bradford Gould, so will be held up a little bit. Apologies to Andres Patoni. He made it 43 places in the opening stages. Now just up 33. I'm sorry for criticising you with my 17 estimate. There he is. Got Murakami just in front of him. He's just fallen off pace a little bit after a good start from the American. Still third in class, though. Nunes still leading Masters. Brewster second in class, though Brewster is yet to pit, so he will fall down. In terms of Spec 2, leader in, though.
Plevo. Yep.
Yeah, they are both in. Weisslusel, yep, going to follow his teammate in as well. So the two Cheshire drivers into the pit. Nunes is, yeah, so he's peeling off. He's in. Favini says, no, I can go again. The Swede carries on. Of Alex Kart Racing Raptor. There's Felix Samals heading through. Who should take the lead, or will he? Because, well, I say lead. Fanini has get going, so he is actually the leader on track. Now, Panera is just heading out of the pit box. I don't think he's done enough here, Charles. Although here comes Samals. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. Panera is out in front of Samals. And, well, Arabian. Plever is ahead of Arabian. But they've both lost. They've lost time net to Panera and Samals. Certainly has Arabian. Arabian had a really lengthy pit stop, didn't he?
That's what I'm looking at the timing and scoring. Panero, 8.7 seconds stoppage, 38.6. Samals, 41.5. Arabian, 44.4. I think that's where your time difference is. But I'm looking at some of these pit times. They didn't take a lot. 8.6, 9.6.
But Charles, look at the clock.
I know.
6 minutes left.
Yeah, and I've seen drivers do this before. We have seen people running out on the last lap. They've just tried to cut it razor thin, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. So, but normally it's one car. I'm seeing several that were very, very quick stops. So this is going to be a very interesting little ending to this race to see if everybody's taking enough fuel on board to finish.
Favini into the pits. I imagine Gould's got to be in this lap as well. Yes, Bradford Gould in from the lead of Spec 1. However, running it in deep, so it's going to be interesting to see where he comes at by Slusel. The cars behind him will get past him. There's a Les Plever heading down the straight, and some miles, and well, I think getting down to the nitty-gritty, the business end here of what happens between Panera and Samals. So let's just update you. Ooh, Lynn getting into Arabian, playing the mind games now. That's interesting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's going to turn out to be an epic scrap. I mean, they've lost a whole chunk of time during that pit stop phase. Well, certainly has Arabian to the top two, Panera and Samals. Lin, on the other hand, has done a cracking job as Yangshi Lin. And also, Pellegrini, look at that, 12 places into 6th. Big gains for him, although
absolutely.
Top 2. Here we go. There's Samals just testing the waters. He's just dipping his toe in, isn't he? Sure
just okay. Look at it. I think Pleva really is hoping that they do this quite a bit, because the longer they're side by side, the easier it's going to be for him to make up that gap. Although under 5 minutes left, 3 seconds is going to be tough. Oh, as Lynn way wide on that corner coming around.
And well, I think we've now got Arabian and Lin within a second of him So, well, 8 tenths for Arabian. He's then got Lynn behind him by about half a second. So I think we're going to have a three-way fight for third, rather than these guys manage to, by some miracle, catch up with our top two, unless they stuck into one another. Then it could all flip on his head. Although, let's believe that on for the best ever finish here. As here we go, somehow. Oh, it's the mind games, isn't it? I was about to say, here we go, lunge up into turn one. So that's a bit of a look. Marco Panera's a wily old fox. He's been there, done it, got the T-shirt, hasn't he? And he's worn it out. He knows what Smel's up to.
Oh yeah, yeah. These guys. It's not the first time these guys have battled for a race win in this league, so they know what's going on, and they're probably having a great time out here. Just saying, okay, it's just me and you, so let's see what we got.
Both get dipping a wheel onto the grass there. Fascinating to see, trying to find the shortest possible route around this 2.3 mile circuit at Okayama, and Samels just has to get on the brakes there to check up to prevent contact as Panero squeezes into the inside, looks for the switch back into the hairpin and closes it back up again. Well, we haven't even got down to the final lap yet, and it's already getting spicy, isn't it? I think they're gonna.
It really is.
They're not going to take white flag this time around, but I believe, yeah, from my calculations, they will do next time. So, getting close, and getting close it is indeed. 3 tenths separating our top two. I'll tell you what, Pleaver, the gap has shrunk as well to Arabian and Lynn. They are now 3 tenths and, well, half a second for Lynn behind Pleaver. This is really turned out to be a dogfight over third. Cleveland does not want to give this one up. First time potentially on the podium overall for the Cheshire driver. Can he hold on? And can Panero hold on to this lead? There's no white flag in the air by my calculations. So we're going to go another extra lap to go.
Side by side in turn one.
Moves to plenty. So that's Samals ahead of Panero. Arabian ahead of Pleaver. Charles, it's well. I feel for Lewis. Where'd you look? How did you try and choose between these two? He'll be working his magic in the background. Don't you worry, folks at home. As here we go.
Down. Yep.
I thought are we going to see a move repeated by Cleaver on Arabian as Samals? So Panera just did Samals. No, we're not. But this does leave you vulnerable down the straight into the hairpin. Panero knows it. Looking back from Hugh Simpkins, he's got the best view of all the action happening behind him. Just don't crash, Hughes. Oh, there we go. No, he doesn't anymore. Panera is still ahead, though, of Samals. Arabian still leading that freeway charge, although Pleaver has lost the place to Lynn. I've just spotted in the background there. Yes,
yeah,
Lynn ahead.
Yeah, you're so busy watching the front two that you've got a three-way battle for the final podium spot, and they're just swapping back and forth. And there is, even with all the passing, they're still gaining time on the front too, because of the fights they're having.
It makes you wonder if they just didn't fight at all, what could have happened? How much more time would they have taken out of that top two? But I mean, as we come out across through to the final lap, white flag is in the air, 1 lap left to go here from Okayama. Smells cases it up. It was half a second across the line. It's now 3 attempts into the braking zone, but hasn't run in too deep. A little bit. Panero just pulled it out by a couple of hundredths, in closest to that 4 attempts mark, but then loses it again. It's yo-yoing his back and forth, but Samels is reeling him in right now. To the brakes here. Charles, here we go. I mean, you know exactly what's going to happen here. Panero can hunk the inside for his dear life, like his life depends on it, like his newborn baby. And well, you see exactly the same thing happening in the background there, as Lynn just getting behind the 377. I don't know, is that Bradford Corner? I can't remember. And lock up. Samels and just holds on to it, although he's going to run a bit wide, and I think that just might hand this to Panero.
I think that may be it, unless something drastic happens.
Well, there you go, 1 second. I think Samels knows it's done and dusted. Let's look in the background though, and I don't think Lynn is going to be able to catch Arabian. Murakami and Favini having a good scrap, and like what Bertoni in there as well. They're all swapping around left, right, and centre. They're all on top of one another, further down through the field. But as they come through like night and then head through the last corner, it looks to me very much like it's going to. There he is. It definitely is a win for Marco Panero here in Okayama. Samao second, Arabian going to run out your podium. Lynn fourth and Les Pleaver, gutted for you. Could have been your first time on the podium. It's still a great result and the best finish as well, or at least equaling for Les Pleaver in fifth. Pellegrini, great drive from the Brazilian. 12 places into sixth. By Sluzel, great result and your winner in Spec 2. Now, look at that stream coming through behind you. 4, 5 cars. They're all across the line, left, right, centre, weaving, trying to break the draft. Who's going to get that one between Nunes and Fernini? Well, Nunes wins out in that little battle. As I'm just looking in the background there, it's all the close action that we have got. Wow, I don't know where to look, is it?
And, we can't forget Murakami with the Masters win, just ahead of Nunes.
Yes, but I mean, Kurt Nunes led that for quite a while. I think there's now from looking at this, Charles, because I know that Andres Bertoni was in and around there. Now he's come over the line in 39th. We're about to, so I think actually no, he's jumped to the pits. I think so. I think they've all had a bit of a coming together somewhere.
That's definitely what it sounds like.
My Spidey's, and I'm looking through the log here. Incidents, and I can see that he came off track and then back on at some stage, and I think I think he's had an incident between himself, Heitzer Louise and Jeff Cantor, because there's crash written across our event logger here. So here we go. Let's find out. Well, I can see that they're all trading places all over one another. There's Bertoni up the inside. 45 covers them up and then loses it on the grass.
Oh, and then catches him in the rear.
There we go. The 944 caught up to. There we go. That explains that one anyway.
It does. So, and see, we talked about it. He was. Bertoni was up. He only ends up plus 11 for the race because of that.
Oh. So based on a sweepstake, technically I win it, although it was a poor one. I mean, it was up about 38, I think, before that point. So we'll give that one to. I'll allow you to win that one, Charles. But let's take you through some classified results here from Okayama in the SRF Weekend Warriors Round 5, presented by RaceVoice. Marco Panero takes victory. Felix Mounts in second. Forenza Arabian completes your podium. Yangshi Lin, great drive from him for fourth. Let's finish from Les Pleaver coming home in fifth. Alberto Pellegrini set up 12 places. Great drive from the Brazil paired Total. By Schuzel, your winner in Spec 2, an inspired driver. Great qualifying from the Cheshire driver. Finished seventh. Renders pitted early, and in the end, I mean, we forgot about him and all the drama and excitement that was happening. To come home eighth, that's a great finish from the Dutchman. Dantas was ninth. Murakami, your winner in Masters and rounding out your top 10. And it was Kurt Nunes, Favini, Panero, Luis Scarli, Andalo, Wood, Gould, Jacobson, and Christopher Smith rounding out your top 20. Bradshaw, Mayer, Accentive, Brewster, Cloper, Berry, Galloway, Jackson, Gradwell, and Mitchell taking with the 30th. Then it's Gibson, Love, Camillo, Warbolt, Justice, McCain. Disappointing for him. He had a great qualifying to come home with 36th. With Wubka, Carvalho is the 38th. And then we've got Jason Green finishing 39th. Bertoni retired to the pits, hence why he's one lap down in 40th. Then Simpkins, Kern, Vaglini, Cantor, Sherman, Conti all one lap down now into the retirements. We lost Ed Dirty in 47th on lap 12. Montgomery on lap 6. Marley and Castro, that came together, of course, cost them dearly, and they retired on lap 5. And Paolo Gori did not make the start. Let's have a bit of chat to some of our drivers. And first off, I'll save Chris McCarthy for yourself, Charles. As two Americans can have a good chin, mate.
Sure.
And now joined by Felix Mouse. Second place here today, Felix. I mean, not a bad result realistically, but it could have been the win. I mean,
Yes.
that strategy works out a treat, didn't it? Around the pit stops.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked. It worked out okay. So I let Marco go by, and it was good for me to save fuel for a while. And as you said, so I was happy when I saw Marco coming out of the pitch just so within draft reach, so I knew I could keep up with him. I think he was on raw pace. He was slightly faster than me, slightly quicker than me. But with the slipstream, you never know. And yeah, on the last couple of laps, I passed him, and then I did not defend good enough. I figured, okay, I let him go on the inside, and then I passed him on the straight afterwards, but it didn't work out. So it is what it is. But second place, it's okay.
I mean, we saw, I think realistically, the defining moment on that final lap was down into the hairpin. We saw you, just have to lock up to just try and
Yeah.
get the car stopped in time. Was that where Marco had moved slightly during the braking phase late on that caught you unaware, or was it just where you were pushing so hard and you just outbrake yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I was pushing too hard, and I got. I was thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And at the same time, I kind of slightly missed my breaking point, and then that was too late. And then I already had made a slightly mistake on the same corner on the previous lap. My front tires were overheated. Then it was just understeer, so I couldn't do anything after that. So,
Well,
yeah.
but I mean, hey, it's one of those things you tried, and if you hadn't have tried, then you would have wondered what would have happened. So, I mean,
Exactly.
congratulations, Felix Miles of Type 116 Motorsport coming home second here today from Okayama. Charles, Chris Murakami for you.
Chris, hey, P10 Masters win. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
So talk about your races. It looked like Nunez had some good pace early, but you managed to track him down and pass him. Talk about that.
Well, I was involved in that accident. Some of the leaders got caught up into each other or something, and one of the guys ended up pulling out instead of staying there, and he ended up hitting me. And so I had a damaged vehicle, so just to keep up with the guys in front of me, I couldn't save any fuel, so I pretty much went in as soon as the pit window opened up.
Yeah, I think that was right. I think that was the Monty and Castro incident that we saw during the race. I think you were kind of behind them and maybe got a little bit of damage off that. But it was a great race to watch. You having fun out there?
Yeah, you get pit in the back, and then you got to make your way forward, and at the same time, I was kind of a little bit managing my fuel because I got an automatic fueler that I pre-program, and if we go in early and you were saving a little fuel, it could keep up be short. So I just had enough to make it, but yeah, I know Kurt was riding back of me, and I know that Manny got involved in that accident, and I know also Antonio could probably only make half the races because he's got dinner time right about that same time. So yeah, managed week a top 10. I wasn't if I got a top 10, I was totally happy because I haven't been fast all week, but yeah, so that worked out.
Well, congratulations on the top 10 and the Masters win.
Oh, thanks.
Chris
Thanks for hitting me.
That's Chris Murakami there. Well, that's all we've got time for this week from the SRF Weekend Warriors, and concludes Super Sunday here on Apex Racing TV. Charles, well, what else do we expect, really? Some cracking results, great finishes. In the end, highest position gainer was shared between Stephen Mitchell and Bradford Good. Both at 14. No, scrap that.
No.
Philip Berry,
Yep.
the Aussie.
Philip Berry.
There you go, 26 overall, up 16 places. He takes that honour. Well, that could have been Bertoni, but if it had been for that instant late on, and only 11 for him. So, yeah, but I'll give you the sweepstake from that one this week. But, well, pleasure everyone at home having you. We will see you in a week's time here. Apex Racing TV as the SRF Weekend Warriors. I've been Tim Cox with Charles Bashal and Luce Araya. We'll see you then.